Welcome to Ecology. What? So in terms of today's lesson, it's going to be on food chains and food webs. Make sure you copy down the notes and we'll go through all the details in class tomorrow. Food chains and webs. Hopefully by the end of this lesson, you'll understand why the yellow fish really doesn't like the green fish. This here is a really good concept map for you to copy out because it includes all of the key terms that we'll be going through within this lesson and review some of the terms we've gone through previously. So ecology is our new unit. It is a study of living things and how they interact with the environment. Within the branch of ecology, you've got ecosystems, which are specialized areas where living things interact with the environment. So kind of like you could have a forest ecosystem, you could also have a freshwater lake ecosystem. Your ecosystem consists of abiotic factors and biotic factors. Abiotic factors are things that are non-living, kind of like the water, the sun, the soil, the temperature, the air. Whereas your biotic factors are things that are living. You can have your autotrophs, which would be your producers, so things like plants, things that can make their own food. And then you've got your heterotrophs, which are your consumers. You can have herbivores, omnivores, or carnivores. As you know, herbivores eat plants only. Omnivores can eat plants and meat, whereas carnivores are just meat only in terms of their diet. Then we've got detrivores and scavengers, which we will be covering in a bit. Sunlight provides the energy used by green plants, which are your producers, to make their own food. These plants then serve as a source of energy for other organisms like your consumers. Your detrivores are consumers that feed on organic matter. Organic matter consists of remains of dead organisms and feces, tasty, as a source of energy and can make nutrients available to the ecosystem. Examples include worms and maggots. Scavengers are carnivores that eat the remains of dead animals. Examples include vultures or even raccoons. Next, we've got trophic levels. Trophic levels are just a way of categorizing living things according to how they gain their energy. Your first trophic level contains your autotrophs, so things like your plants, which are your producers. The higher levels contain the heterotrophs, which are your consumers. So if you're looking at the diagram there, you notice that your producers make up the first trophic level. Your primary consumers make up your second trophic level because they are the first thing that consumes something, whereas your secondary consumers are part of the third trophic level. If you had tertiary consumers, then they would be part of the fourth trophic level. If you had something above that, then it would be part of the fifth trophic level. This here shows you a food chain, which shows the transfer of energy from organism to organism in a linear fashion. The arrows point in the direction in which the energy is transferred. So in the example there, you'll notice that the energy from the berries gets transferred to the robin because the robin ate the berries, and then the energy from the robin is transferred to the house cat because the house cat ate the robin. It's not that the berries ate the robin and then the robin ate the house cat. It's more like the arrows show where the energy is going. If you were to label this food chain, you would label the berries as part of the first trophic level, the robin as part of the second trophic level, and the house cat as part of the third trophic level. Furthermore, the berries would be considered your producers. The robin is your primary consumer because it's the first thing that has consumed something else. And then the house cat is a secondary consumer because it's the second organism that has consumed something within this food chain. Here we've got another example of a food chain. Your first trophic level is made up of your producers. Second trophic level is your primary consumer. Third trophic level, your secondary consumers. And your fourth trophic level consists of your tertiary consumers. And this thing that students always wonder is, okay, where do the decomposers fit in? How do I incorporate them into my food chain? Well, your decomposers, what they do is they break down organisms and they recycle the nutrients and return it back to the soil. That way your producers can take it up again and it will cycle through the food chain and ultimately cycle within a food web. So if you're to draw in your decomposers, you need to draw the arrow going from your tertiary consumer to your decomposer. which then kind of goes back to the grass. And just make sure you include the word nutrients there, because then the nutrients are being cycled. This here is a really good example of what I would expect in terms of a quiz question or a test question. If I ask you, draw me a fully labeled food chain that consists of 4 trophic levels, this here is exactly what I would expect. Last but not least, we've got our food webs. Food webs show many food chains connected. You should be able to identify which is the producer, which is an herbivore, which organism is considered the top carnivore, which are your secondary consumers, and also be able to identify how many links there are in the longest food chain. We will take this up in class, so just make sure you jot down whatever answers you think are correct. Also, some more practice that you need to do. The first there is to draw a properly labeled food chain illustrating 4 trophic levels. And the second question there is to draw a food web using the following organisms. Good luck!